This Sunday, a holy day for so many.
You need God to help you live it so that you can do something unexpected as well.
The leader of Vermont's Episcopal Church sits down with us to discuss why this day is so important and the challenge of getting people to rely on their faith to make their communities better. Plus, helping the kids, 1 quarter, nickel, or penny at a time.
It's a chance for the whole community to come together under the simple premise of collecting change. And that change adds up.
2 of the driving forces behind the annual Big Change Roundup for UVM Children's Hospital stop by, where the idea came from and how easy it is to help make a difference for the kids and the families that need care. And celebrating the women making a difference.
Sometimes as women, we want to have everything lined up and perfectly right before we actually take that first step. But it's really important just to take that first step.
We'll look back at some of the stories we've been able to share this past month during Women's History Month. It's all next on NBC5 In Depth. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on this Easter Sunday for NBC5 In Depth. I'm Brian Colleran. Easter is a holiday celebrated by billions of Christians across the globe, including those who are members of the Episcopal Church. This morning, we sit down with the Episcopal Bishop of Vermont, asking the Right Reverend Dr. Shannon McVeigh Brown to share her thoughts on a number of subjects, including what Easter means to her.
In its simplest form, I would say new life, new beginnings, unexpected beginnings, unexpected chances.
Resurrection.
Resurrection, yes. And in different seasons, seasons of life, it means different things to me. Different aspects of it are more prominent, especially like right now I'm thinking a lot about just the unexpectedness of resurrection and how it sort of calls it up in us the notion of expecting God to do something unexpected. I mean, actually looking for God to do something that you might hope for,
right?
But you think, oh, that's crazy. I shouldn't be hoping something like that.
So should we all be expecting something if we're a person of faith?
Yes, and also expecting that the way you live your life, that you need God to help you live it so that you can do something unexpected as well.
Her message this Sunday to her congregations is one she's been sharing this entire season of Lent.
We like to do things on our own.
Yeah.
Things that we can control, things that we can figure out, things that we can explain. But we make all these promises, I will with God's help. So we are saying that we're going to live an aspirational life. And so I keep encouraging people, what are you doing that really, truly requires God's help? And then the other piece of it is that we make all of these promises, each individual makes a promise. Could you say, I will? But we make it within the context of community, which in and of itself is a bit of an impossible thing.
Right.
Humans always have issues being together, but we need each other.
Right.
And so that's also part of the aspiration. How are we going to do this with God's help together?
Do you feel like enough people have a belief and a faith, and do you believe that's an issue at this time?
Oh, I do, and I think that's also a very Western issue. It's a very, in our country right now, just the idea of individualism becomes primary. There's nothing. We are all made as unique individuals,
right,
but not just for ourselves, and not just to live to please oneself. And that I do think is something that is I don't know when it started being such a big issue. And some cultures do have a sense of community as being part of how they understand themselves better. But I know that in this country, at least, I will speak for us. I'm not going to speak for all of the people.
Yeah.
We struggle with that, and that is causing a lot of our problems.
As the spiritual leader for more than 5,000 Vermonters, Bishop Shannon does not shy away from taking stances on the issues we face today, like gun violence, cost of living, and the growing gap between the haves and the have-nots.
We're all meant to be, good stewards, and that's a churchy word.
Yeah.
But when I say good stewards, I mean care and concern for all of creation, for all of people. Because if we could do that, I mean, that's an aspiration. And so, depending on the month, depending on what scripture is given to me on for a particular Sunday, then we will talk about different aspects of the ways that we can interact with each other and in the world, and also try to encourage people, because this is a huge undertaking that we've agreed to as followers of Jesus. It's not a simple thing, and that is also why we need community. That is why we need God's help in order to not just be completely discouraged, because it's lifelong work and journey.
Right. And it can be discouraging.
Yes, yes.
She was elected bishop 5 years ago on the first vote, led her church through an unexpected pandemic by taking her message to Zoom chat rooms, while also facing the challenge of being the first Black woman to lead the diocese.
One of my goals was to be connected to the people, to get to know them, and to be able to work together with them to address some difficult things. The church across all denominations are dealing with decline. I mean, people talk about the great unchurching, and which has happened in England and Europe.
Yeah.
And so we're just, what do we do when the church is not the center of everybody's life anymore and of society? And we still think that we need to be around. So that was one of the goals, to have some conversations around that, and to think about how we're, organizing ourselves, dealing with our finances, the way that we send a priest into a parish, and do they have other people to work with them, because we have deacons as well, and how are we going to be church when people don't even know what we're there for?
Right.
I mean, it's not common for people to understand even what we're supposed to be doing.
How you're going to be relevant in today's today's time and today's society.
Yep. Yeah. And so encouraging, I came in encouraging people to, experiment with things, and we are people who love order. And during a time of change, things are not orderly. I don't know if this will be cut from the interview, but we've realized that electing a Black woman in this really, really white state, second whitest in the nation, was not just an aspirational thing. I mean, we all had this sense that we were called to be together, people and bishop.
Right.
But then when you start living it, that's been a challenge. And people have, we've had to learn, what does it mean to take leadership from a Black woman who isn't from Vermont?
Right.
And so we're growing in that, and that's also part of our work as a church, to work on being able to be in relationship with people who are not like us.
5 years in, do you feel like they're and I hate to use the term buying into your message, but do you feel like you're getting that, you're receiving that?
I am, and the thing is that when they elected me, it's not common for a bishop to be elected on the first ballot. They voted. It was really clear, yes, she needs to be our bishop.
Right.
And some of what they were expecting is that I would lead change. They expected that. But of course, you know, when you start doing that,
It doesn't always feel great.
it doesn't always feel great.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was an expectation that they had that I have lived up to.
Right.
And, you know, so we're working on, you know, what does that mean, and trusting each other to live into the change that we're all called to be and create in this, at this time, in this state, as Episcopalians and followers of Jesus.
Thanks to the bishop and the staff at All Saints Episcopal Church in South Burlington for inviting us to be there this week. Coming up, start gathering that loose change around the house. Dr. First and Wild Bill stop by to share why the Big Change Roundup is such a difference maker for UVM Children's Hospital when this Easter Sunday edition of NBC5 In Depth continues. As we celebrate this Easter Sunday, there are families that are spending the holiday in the hospital because their young ones need the care. This week is a big week for the UVM Children's Hospital as the annual Big Change Roundup wraps up. It's why I invited two of our friends to stop by recently and share why this fundraiser is so important to our entire community. Dr. Lewis First, Wild Bill Sargent, thanks for joining us on this Easter Sunday.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Happy Easter.
It's my pleasure. Happy Easter to you. The annual Big Change Roundup is here. Started in 2005. Where did the idea come from?
That was a long story, but we were in Florida at a Children's Miracle Network event, and we were trying to come up with an idea of how to make a fundraiser work in our area. This area has a huge history of events that are singular to this area. And the Big Change Roundup for Kids is one of those events. It works here, but it may not work in other parts of the country. We just have a community here that cares.
When they came back from Florida with this idea, what did you think?
I thought it was remarkable because it's a chance for the whole community to come together under the simple premise of collecting change. And that change adds up. And over the past 19 years, it has really added up. And not only is it change, we'll take dollars too, Brian, but it's also, it brings change to lives of people, those who collect the change as well as how we use it at our University of Vermont Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a moment. What was the reaction from listeners when you started this up with your listeners there at WOKO, that you wanted to collect their change that was sitting anywhere from inside their car to inside their kitchen?
Absolutely. You know that those cup holders are great places to find extra change for the Big Change Roundup for Kids.
You taught me that every house has about $94 in change under the couch. Okay?
Just every couch.
You put that fun fact out. And so check your couches, and it's there.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes to make a difference in the life of a child.
But it got an immediate reaction from your listeners?
And the idea is that, you know, we have a lot of listeners. We're blessed on 98.9 WOKO to play country music, and it's very popular. And those listeners responded. Of course, they've been involved with the University of Vermont Children's Hospital before. We had been doing radiothons to help, but the Big Change Roundup was a new idea that changed the game. What we said was, if everybody does a little bit, it will add up. And we've been raising hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. It's amazing.
And this has transformed over the years. I know when I first moved here, you were holding remotes at places like Walmart, where people just, you'd show up with bags or buckets of change. People
or wheelbarrows.
And then something happened around 2020. I can't remember
He
quite
knows
what
more
it was.
about it than I do.
Some pandemonium, something came up, and we couldn't collect the change the way we used to, but we could still change the lives of children by saying, let's bring the change in, let's collect the change, turn it into dollars, and still make the magic happen.
How did you transform it? You know, lots of charities had to transform the way they were collecting things. And how were you able to have this survive through the pandemic?
Well, the idea has never changed. The Big Change Roundup is a bunch of fundraising events. Everybody does a little something. There are people who do lawn sales, and there are people who do gymkhanas, and there are people who do all sorts of little events. There's a great family who stands in the middle of a parking lot and hands people Tootsie Roll Pops for whatever spare change they happen to have. And that's still what the Big Change Roundup for Kids is. What we've transitioned to is, starting tomorrow at 6 a.m., we're going to start the Big Change Roundup for Kids Radiothon on 98.9 WOKO, which is really the finale of the year's fundraising.
Right.
All of the fundraising that's been happened, we're going to round it up starting tomorrow.
You're going to be on the radio every morning the next couple of days.
That's why I went to medical school. To be on the radio and television.
Radio,
it doesn't get
TV,
better than this.
you've got all the bases
yes, I'm going
covered.
to try to be on the radio.
What's the message that you try to pass along to Bill's listeners and everyone out there in our region?
The message is that this is not my children's hospital or yours, this is ours. And if the community can come together, they need to know that every dollar we raise here stays here to provide programs, services, equipment that puts smiles on the faces of a lot of children and literally saves lives. And I think people need to understand this is our children's hospital. It's what we have for the state of Vermont and northern New York. And I see how these dollars are used. We use these each and every day. There's not a child we care for, Brian, that I believe is not touched in some way by the dollars we raise, from child life all the way to critical care equipment to programs that, as I said, bring tears to my eyes and certainly to that of families when we can bring families together who can't afford it, take care of their mental health. And every year we get better because of the Big Change Roundup. It's an amazing experience to see how these dollars come together and how we can then make a difference. And I'm so proud of this community, I can't begin to tell you.
And every dollar raised stays with the hospital.
Right, and Dr. Furst is right. There's thousands of things that we do with this money, but the fact is what it all comes down to for me is if we can put a smile on a sick kid's face while they're in the hospital, we're doing exactly what we need to do as a community for this children's hospital.
Yeah. Talk about some of the programs that the money goes towards.
Well, I can tell you that this year our neonatal intensive care unit was the recipient of a national honor for having the highest satisfaction rating 4 quarters in a row. And we have the most incredible staff in our neonatal intensive care unit. But it's the extra touches, the equipment that allows a parent to go skin to skin, that gets that extra blanket for a family that forgot to bring it when they came to the hospital, that allows a video footage to see their baby if they can't come over. All of those extra touches are where this change goes. So when you become state-of-the-art neonatal intensive care, I would say it's certainly the team I work with that I'm so honored to be a part of, but it's the change that I think that took us over the top to do it. Over the past year, we have started a program for palliative care, the mental health of children, teenagers. We want to make sure every child gets the mental health as well as the physical health and well-being, and these dollars help provide it. And we're even right now starting to build an exercise program, be the only one up here in New England, so the kids who have complex diseases can say, I can play on that team, and we need some extra equipment, the dollars will go there. It's a remarkable story. I would show anybody that any child you point to, I'll say this is how these dollars were used.
I mean, it's innovative treatment that's happening here, but then you have to understand, UVM's a teaching hospital, so Dr. Furst is teaching a whole new generation of pediatricians to have that community involvement. It's spreading, and it's only good for the world.
It's also about children giving back to children. Things that get to me are when children have birthday parties and collect change. Victoria Reed was a child who has needed the hospital 15 major operations. She started when she was a little girl. She's now in college. And so the act of seeing how these dollars helped her, she now leads a campaign with her family that has raised over $125,000 for up in Alburgh. That not only Victoria and her family, the town of Alburgh gets into this. Franklin County gets into this. It's like, it's magical and it's exciting, and now Victoria gets it and says, I want to give it back. That's what the Big Change Roundup is all about.
It's not only families like that, but you know, Bill and the radio station and the group there are a huge partner with you on this. You also have other partners who you rely on to make big donations. That's going to happen during the week of the
For
Radiothon,
sure.
right?
All of our major sponsors all of our sponsors really help out in a lot of different ways. I don't want to name any one of them because
Right.
we have a lot of them. But it's not just our sponsors who get involved to get their name attached to this great fundraiser.
Yeah.
It's a lot of businesses who have the bucket on the counter, drop any spare change in for the Big Change Roundup, and it all comes in. Remember, it's all about a lot of little donations adding up. And by the way, I don't want to toot our own horn or anything, but since
Go ahead.
2005, I will. $4.3 million is a lot of money for this community in Plattsburgh and Burlington and the surrounding area to come up with for our children's hospital.
Yeah.
If we could do this everywhere, every children's hospital would be as great as ours.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Sorry.
He does this.
I do this.
I know he does it. He does it every week on our
I
air.
want to keep listeners coming into. Yeah.
I want to close this out by, if someone wants to get involved with this week, what do they need to do?
BigChangeRoundup.org. If we say one thing, I'm going to say BigChangeRoundup.org. It's going to tell you everything that you need to know. You can register and donate right there. You can get all the tools that you need to start your own campaign real quick.
Yep.
Because on Friday at high noon, that's the finale of the Big Change Roundup for Kids for 2024. And the 2025 campaign starts
right
after
then.
that.
All right.
So we definitely have to get people to go to BigChangeRoundup.org and register or donate.
All right. Wild Bill Sargent, Dr. Lewis First, thanks for joining us this
Brian,
morning.
thank
Thanks,
you,
Brian.
and thanks to everybody who's going to make this year's Roundup allow us to be the highest quality, child-friendly, family-centered children's hospital possible. It is an honor to be part of that team. It's an honor to be part of this community, to work with WOKO, to work with NBC5. Let's make this year's Roundup the best ever.
Thank you, guys. Start rounding up that change. When we come back, a look back at the stories we've shared over the last month, highlighting women making a difference in our region. It's the final day of Women's History Month, and this morning we want to take a look back at some of the stories we've done throughout March, highlighting the achievements of women in Vermont and Northern New York.
The month got off to a bang as Emma Mulvaney Stanek became the first woman elected mayor of Burlington.
This was quite a momentous moment in history, and it's been really sweet to just see how many folks really acknowledge that this representation really matters.
Anna Goober shared how Mulvaney Stanek also became the first openly queer person to be elected to the top office. As we featured in early March, the women in top elected offices across our region.
Sometimes as women, we want to have everything lined up and perfectly right before we actually take that first step. But it's really important just to take that first step, to test and learn and be okay sometimes with failure.
Lauren Granada shared the story of Sasha Meyer and Christine Dotson, the two Vermont working moms who had an idea when they started Mamava back in 2013. They now have 5,000 of these privacy lactation pods for new moms and dads in all 50 states and beyond. Speaking of moms and their kids,
I was really inspired by my mom taking care of her parents. I helped take care of them as well, and I wanted to do what she does, and I'm really excited to keep going forward with that.
Benny Nazai introduced us to Rebecca and Kaylin Ryan, mother and daughter nursing students at SUNY Plattsburgh, who are going to school at the same time and are set to walk across the graduation stage together in May of 2025.
I'm very excited for it.
She says she is now.
Well, I did joke that she was raining on my parade at first, but all in all, I think it'll be like a very special moment.
You can see more of our stories from this Women's History Month on our website, mynbc5.com, under the Project Community tab. With about a week to go until the total solar eclipse, students at Stafford Middle School in Plattsburgh have been learning more about this rare phenomenon and are putting their knowledge on display. More than 50 sixth graders created projects that share the process, history, and safety measures for the total solar eclipse. Many of the presentations were creatively done as well, ranging from a motorized Lego display to an interactive video game. One student even changed the lyrics to Taylor Swift's famed song, I Knew You Were Trouble, to make it eclipse themed. Students say they are excited for April 8th to arrive.
I think it's great that as a small town we all get to have tourists come together and celebrate a good moment.
The displays will be at the Plattsburgh Public Library through April 8th. And be sure to tune in next Sunday. We'll have everything you need to know about the solar eclipse. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning. Enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday.